So I've got with us on the webinar today our business development coach and one of my best friends. We actually grew up together. We've known each other for a real long time, Jason Pettit. Jason, are you on the phone with us today?
I am here. Am I coming through?
Yeah, it sounds pretty good. And I just noticed looking at this picture, we look like twins or brothers or something. I don't know. It's pretty uncanny there.
Let's just say that that's not a bad thing. We'll just go with that being a good thing.
Yeah, so yeah, appreciate you taking time out of your schedule today. You and I had kind of talked about what really is going to be, you know, an effective webinar for people. What do they really want to know about? And a lot of questions that we get from people are, you know, this industry seems so complex. How in the world am I going to be able to get involved without knowing already, you know, a lot of technical knowledge and that sort of thing? So that's what we're getting into today with this webinar.
Yes, I was actually on a conference call last night with a couple of prospective American Business Systems licensees, and the question that came up was, you know, with everything that we're hearing about Obamacare and the requirements that the doctors have that's being piled on them right now, what does that mean for me starting a business that offers, you know, medical billing and other revenue cycle solutions to doctors? And so we got the idea to do this webinar and cover this topic because all of these changes in the regulations and the requirements that doctors' offices have now create an atmosphere of complexity that is really causing doctors to seek out solutions that you'll be able to provide as an American Business Systems licensee. So we're going to take a look at some of the different problems doctors are facing, some of the changes and the regulatory things that doctors are going to have to try to adapt to in the next year or two. And we're going to take a look at some of the solutions that we have with American Business Systems. And then we're going to talk about how you can take advantage of it. So it's a great topic and one I'm excited to be a part of.
Great, yeah. So what I wanted to bring up first is we are, right now, we're taking part in one of the biggest overhauls or biggest shifts in the history of medicine with all that's going on with the different medical codes and different regulations and Affordable Care Act and all kinds of stuff. I actually heard somebody refer to it as the perfect storm, and it really is. I mean, for people that are on, especially on the medical billing side, you know, the revenue cycle management side, this is the perfect storm and the perfect time to get involved in this business and this industry, because even before all this stuff that we're going to talk about, you know, came about, doctors were already having a hard time trying to practice medicine and, you know, file their insurance claims and follow up on them in a timely manner and you know, basically manage their money. They were already having trouble with that. So it's just compounded even more and more by all the different things that are going on right now. So let's talk a little bit about some of the stuff that's happening. There's a new coding system that's coming out October 1st of this year, and we're gonna go into detail on what that means. But basically, whenever doctors treat a patient, there has to be some medical codes that are submitted to the insurance companies, and these medical codes are related to the diagnoses of, you know, what was wrong with the patient, as well as there's codes for the treatment. You know, what kind of treatment did they do? But for now, what we're talking about is the diagnosis code. So what we've got is, well, let me just go ahead and go to the next slide. We've got a transition that's going from what's called ICD10 to ICD10. So it's basically a new version of codes that are coming out. Now, I don't know if any of you guys realize this, but it's a very drastic change. Right now, the medical codes that doctors can use, there's around 15,000 of those codes, which is, you know, in itself, that's a lot to manage. But it's going from 15,000 to almost 70,000 medical codes on October 1st. I mean, that is a huge change, and that's a huge thing to try to manage and learn. And, you know, doctors are spending a lot of money trying to get their systems upgraded. They're spending a lot of money trying to get their staff trained and you know, up to date. But a lot of doctors are not doing any of that. They're just kind of like sticking their head in the sand and hoping it goes away. And the reason why is because last year, is when the actual October 1st date was announced, and it was supposed to go live October 1st of last year. So the doctors were just crossing their fingers and hoping that it would just, pass on, and get delayed for a year, which it did. And now we're up to October 1, 2015, and it's everything that I've seen in the news, every indicator from the government and everybody else is saying it's going to stick this time. So October 1, they're going to have to start using these new codes. And the neat thing is our system is already certified and ready for these new 70,000 medical codes that are coming out. So we have a mapping tool that our licensees are using as kind of like a door opener. So how we're solving this one coding issue here is our licensees can say, are you ICD-10 ready? And most of the time the doctor will say, no, we're not. What can you do to help? We actually can help them by using that mapping tool. We can help them figure out what their new codes are going to be based on the 9 codes that they provide to us. So our licensees are able to, as a door opener, say, look, let me get you up to speed, let me get you educated on the system. Oh, and by the way, my system that I can help, do your billing, we're already certified for these ICD-10 codes, so we can start going right away on October 1.
That's a great point, Adam. I'd like to add to that. Picture yourself as a doctor, and you haven't made the conversion over to an electronic health record system. So when you see patients, you're sitting down with the manila folder and you have the paper patient chart. I mean, studies show there's still plenty of doctors out there who are using paper charting systems. And the way that you communicate to the insurance company how that claim is going to be reimbursed is by selecting from a list of common codes on a form called a super bill. And if you can remember the last time you went to the doctor and they sat across from you and talked about the issues you were having, and they were scratching down on a piece of paper, usually that top piece of paper on your file is yellow or blue or pink, and it has a big list of codes. Well, those are the ICD-9 codes. And the doctor will circle the code that has to do with your diagnosis, and they'll circle the code that has to do with your procedure. And that's the code that's used to file the claim with the insurance company. Well, what's happening in October is those ICD-9 codes, which Adam mentioned is a batch of 16,000 codes, that's getting an exponential increase. It's going from 16,000 to over 70,000 codes. So let's go back to that scenario with the doctor sitting down with that super bill, that one piece of paper that the common codes are listed on. There's no way the doctor will be able to continue filing claims with ICD-10 codes, because how do they condense over 70,000 codes onto one brightly colored piece of paper that they're going to somehow circle the correct codes on? It's just going to become impossible for doctors to continue processing claims on paper. And so the doctors know that this push is coming, and the research we've seen has indicated that doctors are wildly unprepared for the upcoming ICD-10 changes. In fact, I was speaking with one of our associates here about a week ago, and he was going into the bank to make a withdrawal, and he was talking about the business and medical billing, and the bank teller said, you know what, we've had 2 doctors in here in the last week who were taking out lines of credit because they were scared that their revenue was going to take such a nosedive over the next few months coming up to ICD-10 that they wanted to be prepared to have cash in reserves to cover that lack of reimbursement. So we are really positioned at an incredible time in the industry to offer solutions that help doctors navigate that transition from ICD-9 to ICD-10.
Yeah, I've seen several different news articles where there's people recommending that doctors take out lines of credit because they're going to take such a hit on October 1 with their revenue. It's just insane. Here's a recent survey that was done. If you guys want to try to keep your finger on the pulse of the industry, check out medicaleconomics.com. Here was a recent poll that was done, basically just asking, will your practice be ready for the ICD-10 conversion October 1? 62% said no, we're not going to be ready. So it's going to be a mess. And that's, this is just one of many different issues that doctors are having to deal with right now that licensees can come in and help out with. So let's talk about the next one. Let's talk about electronic medical records. Now this one's been in the news for quite a while, several years now actually. I think I started seeing the buzz about this back in 2011 or something, way back when. Basically, this is the part where, and it's kind of related to the Affordable Care Act in a way, where they were telling doctors, look, we want all doctors to go paperless to make it easier for them, supposedly, and make it easier for everyone. And also, the reasoning there was that through these electronic medical record systems, they're going to get better care and be able to track, the doctors will be able to better track their patients and different things like that. So it's called meaningful use. The government put out a notice that said, if you have an electronic medical records software that is certified for meaningful use, we will actually give you money as an incentive. Well, those incentives have actually gone by the wayside, and they're basically done at this point in time in 2015. So now what we're looking at is doctors who don't have an EMR system, or they don't have one that's certified for the government meaningful use incentives, they're going to start getting penalized. Up to 5% of their money that they're getting from Medicare, they're going to actually get penalties now for not using a system at all, or not using a system that's certified for meaningful use. So we have, with our system that we'll show you, we have a certified for meaningful use system called EMRX that is very user-friendly. Doctors love it. It runs natively on an iPad or a tablet or a computer or any internet-connected device, basically. And that's one solution that we have that's really helping doctors kind of navigate that whole electronic medical records thing.
Yeah, an interesting side note to meaningful use. When the very first indications that this was on the radar came out with the Affordable Care Act, the government said, okay, so in order for you to qualify with a meaningful use system, you have to have this meaningful use certification. So they said this requirement was going to be out there, but what they did not do is spell out what meaningful use actually meant. What are the requirements of a system to meet the meaningful use guidelines? So, 4 or 5 years ago, you had all these companies jump in and start developing electronic health records products in the dark because they didn't know what features were going to be required. So 4 or 5 years ago, it was quite a mess. Since then, we've got pretty clear guidelines, and of course, EMRX, our electronic health record solution, is completely compliant in every possible aspect of meaningful use. So you can go in with confidence and say you've got a certified meaningful use system, and it's super easy to use. Doctors love using it.
Yeah, that's a great point. So another issue that you guys may have not heard about, this one's just now kind of making waves. It's a very long name. It's called Patient-Centered Medical Home, and also referred to as PCMH. And it's a very long description of something that's basically the government is trying to come up with new ways of reimbursing doctors based on the levels of care that they're providing, and based on different things that they're doing regarding preventative care, wellness, acute care, and chronic care all combined. So the neat thing is things like this, and there's a couple of other new initiatives that have come out as well. Anything that comes out like this that the government says, well, now you have to do it this way. Our technology has already been certified for that particular initiative from the government or from insurance or whatever. So that's the beauty of using the system that we have, the IClaim EMRX system, because just by the fact that you're using this system, every morning when you log into it, you have the latest, greatest version of the system. You never have to worry about downloading any updates or even doing any backups. We do all the backups for you. But it has a PCMH dashboard built in that can actually just, it's like a checklist that tells the doctor, okay, if you've done this and this and this and this, then you're going to get paid this. And if you haven't done this and you haven't done this, then you're going to get paid this. So it's very helpful for doctors to just at a glance go, oh, well, we forgot to do that, let's go do it. So it just kind of guides them and handholds them through the process of these new ways of getting paid. So yeah, do some research on PCMH if you want to get real technical, and you can learn more about that as well. So
I'd like to add one more point to the systems aspect, and we will probably mention this again on the webinar, but when doctors actually see our system, and when you're an American Business Systems licensee, you have the ability to go into our abslss.com private licensee support website and schedule live demos with one of our software experts who will give a software demonstration for your prospective doctor who could be a client. When doctors see our IClaim and EMRX billing, practice management, and electronic health records platform, we usually close over 50% of the doctors who see the system. So not only is it fully qualified and meet all the compliancy certifications that are required for systems like this, but it also demos really well. And for a doctor or office manager or receptionist or even a biller who's going to be using the system, they really are impressed. And we've done these demos for billers with 10, 15, 20 years experience in the industry, and they love it. So I did want to put a fine point on that. But then I'd also like to add at the tail end of this discussion, one of the licensees that we have had on board with American Business Systems for 4 or 5 years now, a good friend of mine, Renee, who's up in Chicago, Illinois. He was marketing his business and encountered the first client. He walked into the office, was talking with the receptionist, and he said, "My name's Renee. I have a local billing and coding company. Do you have a need for those kinds of services?" And of course they didn't. They were already sending it out to a third-party company. Well, as Renee was trained to do, he asked the receptionist if they were satisfied that they were getting the maximum reimbursement out of the claims that were being filed with that company. And the receptionist responded, "You know what, actually we've been having a lot of trouble. We've noticed our revenue each month is slipping, and we know there's a problem somewhere, but we're not sure where." Well, Renee did a practice analysis, which we teach you how to do when you come out to training with American Business Systems. And he discovered that he was going to be able to make massive improvements for this doctor's revenue. He took over the billing, and after 3 months, he did a quarterly report. When he took over the billing, that doctor was generating $13,000 a month in revenue. At the end of those 3 months, each month that Renee was handling the billing, he did over $30,000 in revenue. He more than doubled that doctor's revenue month over month. So, of course, the doctor was just ecstatic, introduced him to a string of referrals. He actually got 8 clients just out of referrals from that first client. And now he has 18 or 19 or 20 clients. He's got a huge business that's thriving. But I wanted to mention Renee because when you find that sore spot with the doctor and you can provide a solution that increases revenue, it's a no-brainer. And Renee did it.
yeah, and I don't know if you mentioned this, but he had no prior experience in healthcare whatsoever. He is, what is he, 30 years old barely? Mid-30s maybe?
Mid-30s, I think.
Yeah, he just said, you know what, I just went out and I did exactly what ABS told me to do. That's all I knew. That's all I knew what to do. He didn't have any other ideas, so he just followed our steps, said what we told him to say, and now he has an office space with multiple clients, multiple staff members, the whole thing. Yeah, there's and Doug just made a comment. I'm talking to Renee now, and we must have gave out his phone number. But yeah, Renee's happy to talk to any of you guys that want to chat. So just get with your ABS rep, and we can get you his number. But that's a great story. I mean, real results, and that's the thing is, they can see the results immediately start to happen because our system is web-based. So as the doctors, when they log into the IClaim system just to see their financials and see their reports, they can start seeing just right away because they have access to it, and they know that the things that the licensee was saying are true because they can see it with their own eyes and they can see their money hitting their account. The numbers don't lie. So good story though. So let's talk a little bit about it getting worse for doctors. So coding, you know, we get this question a lot. Don't I have to know all these medical codes? Don't I have to be certified in coding? And no, the answer is no. The reason why that you're able to go through our 5-day course and go home and immediately start marketing your company as a certified coding company is because we have certified coders already on staff that can do that work for you. That's the beauty of it. So we have a couple of different services that I'll talk about related specifically to coding here. Some issues doctors have are they want to be real cautious with their claim filing, and they want to make sure that they're not what's called overcoding or undercoding. Overcoding means they're getting paid for things that they may or may not have done properly, which could get into big fines with Medicare, get them into big trouble. Also, but they don't want to be undercoding either if they are doing everything that they're supposed to be doing and actually could be, you know, paid a little bit more based on just rearranging the codes a little bit. So they want to make sure they're getting paid what they deserve as well. And like it says right there, government wall of shame. There is actually a government website that they post all of the every doctor and every hospital that's been that has any fraudulent things that have happened regarding Medicare. They're posted on this what's called wall of shame. They're actually out there in the public eye to be seen by everyone, to be humiliated. So doctors want to avoid that at all costs because that could just kill their reputation big time. So we have solutions, and the beauty of these solutions is that the work is actually performed by ABS or one of our technology partners that we have. So you're not actually having to do this work that I'm about to talk about. So the two solutions regarding coding are what we call Audit Guard and CodeWrite. So first let's talk a little bit about Audit Guard. Audit Guard is a service where we can take an overall broad look at all of the claims and all of the charts that a doctor has over a certain date range, and we can see if there's a trend of them doing things the right way or the wrong way. And essentially what we do is we take a look at, I think it's 20 or 30 different patient charts, different claims that have been filed, and we make recommendations on things that they should change to make sure that they are dotting every I and crossing every T and not not going to get into trouble with Medicare. So basically what this Audit Guard is it's kind of like a pre-audit. It's not going to guarantee that a doctor won't get audited by Medicare, but it's a pretty darn good security in that if Medicare ever were to try to audit that doctor, if they've done this Audit Guard thing and they put all their best practices into place based on this reporting, the chances of them getting fined are greatly reduced. So that is a very big kind of just peace of mind kind of service that doctors love to use, is Audit Guard. And really you as a licensee, all you're doing is you help coordinate the collection of those patient charts, and then you're turning them over to our technology partner that actually does all the work. So the next service with regards to coding is more on an individual type basis. So you may have a situation where, well, let me back up. Most of the clients that you sign up, most of the doctors, they have a handful of codes that they want to use on a regular basis. They're not having to use all 70,000 or 15,000 or whatever it is. They have a handful of codes that they particularly use related specifically to their specialty. And most of the doctors, they know what codes they want to use, especially when we get them up to speed on the ICD-10s. They're going to know which ones they want to use. So they're going to be sending those codes over to you, the biller, to submit to the insurance company. That's why your job is pretty easy. Your job is really more of just data processing. You're not having to decipher what medical codes go for what procedures or anything like that. So it's not that complicated. Now, you may have a scenario where a doctor comes to you and says, you know what, I would like for you to every once in a while take a look at my claims and make sure that I'm coding them properly. If that's the case, you can say, absolutely, we can do that. And so instead of them sending it directly to you, they would actually upload it to a cloud system that we have, and then our certified coders go in and recode the claim, and then you do what you normally do. You grab the claim from the cloud, and you do the data processing like you normally do. But it's been recoded by our coders. Our code write service is what it is. And so that's another way for you to provide value outside of, just being a medical biller. Like, there's tons of other people that just do medical billing, but you being able to help with the coding, that's a big, big deal.
Adam, when I'm on the phone with prospective licensees and they're checking into the business, one of the most common concerns I get is, well, I don't know anything about billing or coding. How will I be able to answer questions for the doctor? And if I'm not an expert in billing and coding, how am I going to be able to grow my business? How will I have any credibility when I'm talking with the doctor? Well, the way that we set up our licensees is to have Audit Guard and CodeWrite and our giant teams of coders to assist with the heavy lifting when the doctor and their staff have specific questions about coding. So, as an example, if the doctor or office manager or the current biller in the doctor's office ask a very specific question about coding, all you have to do is say, well, I'm not a certified coder, but I will definitely pass this along to my coding team, and I'll get an answer for you. That's part of the value of being an American Business Systems licensee, is you have a network of licensed certified coders that is there to help with every aspect of questions. And we can even have one of our CodeWrite or Audit Guard coders assigned directly to the doctor's office to look at each and every claim before it's filed. It's an amazing service, and it provides tremendous value. And when a doctor's office is using our CodeWrite service, typically we see improvements in the dollar amount of the physician's reimbursement, 30% or more. We've seen as high as 50% improvements in dollar revenue because those claims are being coded with the most optimal codes. And it's a huge key, and it's a great service, and it provides a big value impact with doctors' offices, and you'll be able to provide that.
Yeah, that's a great point. And the other thing that you kind of touched on a little bit was the term "my team." When you become a licensee, we talk to you in training. We teach you how to present yourself to the doctors. You're going to let them know right out of the gate. You're going to let them know, look, I'm the owner of this business. I just opened up a new local office, but my team is all over the country. I'm a part of a network of offices that processes thousands of claims every day. And any kind of referral that the doctor needs, if they need a reference that they can, another doctor they can chat with, any kind of credibility type thing that they need, that's what we're for. And we can provide that. So, even if you are the one doing the work, even if you are, working out of your garage, they're not going to have any idea that you're working from home. They're not going to have any idea. They're going to feel like you're a part of a much bigger organization than just you, little old you working by yourself because you're part of American Business Systems. So yeah, that's a good point. Let's talk about another licensee that we have, Stevehigdon. So he actually started his business just a couple years ago, 2013, and by using the different methods that we taught him and being able to bring up the different issues that he can solve for doctors, he was able to very quickly get clients. So fast, in fact, that he, as it says right there, he signed 13 clients, believe it or not, in his first 60 days. Now, Steve is a special case. Steve had a lot of background in sales and marketing, and I believe he actually was doing medical device sales, if I'm not mistaken. So obviously, he's probably going to do really well, and he did really well. And again, he's another one that you can talk to if you want to. But let's talk about someone who did not come from that type of background at all. We've got Nadia Siddiqui in Missouri. She had no sales and marketing experience whatsoever and went through our training, and now she has 11 practices. She has a commercial office space, 3 employees, and she's never been happier. So, it does not require you to have any kind of, not only do you not have to have any healthcare or billing experience, but you don't have to have any sales or marketing experience. We can show you exactly how to do it.
Well, Now we get to talk about some more fun things. The doctors' offices are piled up with regulations and changes from the government and the healthcare industry. They have to keep up with everything Adam has already mentioned: ICD-9 to ICD-10 conversion, meaningful use, PCMH, and of course there's a lot of stress that goes along with that. But it gets even worse, unfortunately, because doctors also have to struggle with more and more the services that the insurance companies don't cover. So it creates an even bigger pile of revenue that the doctors have to chase. The patient comes in to see the physician, they can't pay their balance, and they say, hey, can you bill me later? And, of course, sure, we'll bill you later. And studies have shown that on average, a doctor's going to get a 50% chance of getting a dime of that invoiced amount when they send that patient statement 30 days later. So if the patient leaves the doctor's office without paying, it creates almost certainly a collection. And let's all be honest with ourselves. If you have a pile of bills sitting on your desk and one of those is a 30-day notice from a doctor's office that you owe a few $100s, where are you going to sort that on your pay to file? Most of us are going to put that at the bottom of the stack if we're honest with ourselves. And so doctors really struggle with getting money out of patients on these services that aren't paid for. But we've got some great solutions for it. The first solution is called choice pay. And choice pay gives the doctor the ability to, instead of saying, sure, we'll bill you later, they'll say, actually, all payments are due at the time of service, but if you're not able to make a $200 or $500 or $1,000 payment right here at the window, if you weren't prepared for that, we'd be happy to set up an automated payment plan. Now, this works much like if you go get a health club membership and they void a check and then they take the $30 a month out of your bank account. It's just an automated bank draft. So the doctor's office gets a voided check. They automatically generate a repayment agreement, and they're off and running. The patient can choose their payment amount each month, and it's a very, very low-cost solution for the doctor, and it virtually eliminates patient collections. Nobody gets to leave without either getting into the choice pay payment plan, or many times they'll say, oh, I don't want a bank draft. I hate those. They're hard to keep track of, and they'll just hand over a credit or debit card to avoid having to get a bank draft set up. So it's a great way for the doctor to make that a streamlined process where they're not just shoveling people into the collections pile. If the doctor does not have something like choice pay set up, and one of the other alternatives you might see when you're wandering into doctor's offices is something called care credit, which is a credit card that the patient would apply for. Well, they have to qualify based on their credit. And it's very costly for the doctor to have that too. The credit card takes a huge cut of it before the doctor's paid. So choice pay is an excellent solution. If they don't have it in place, it's a no-brainer. Some of our licensees have based their entire marketing plans on leading with choice pay and became so successful with it, they hardly did any medical billing because they were generating so much revenue from this one choice pay service. But when you do encounter that doctor's office who's had the sure, we'll bill you later option, sometimes they've had that in place for years and years, and they're sitting on a giant pile of patient collections. We have another service called Quick Collect. Quick Collect is an automated collection system. Now, as soon as you start talking about collections, everybody, sort of tenses up a little bit. I don't want to be calling, Grandma Sue and trying to pry $50 out of her, that she owes some doctor. Well, you certainly are not going to have to make any collections calls because Quick Collect has their own automated process that's set up. It starts with a series of letters. Perhaps you missed the statement that came out, but you do owe this balance. And then as the collection becomes more and more seasoned, it goes into collection notices, and then it goes into a phone bank where trained collections experts will make calls. And then it can even be turned over to an attorney at the end of the process to pursue legal action if the doctor chooses. The nice thing about Quick Collect, besides the fact that it's completely automated and you don't have to make collection calls, which are not something many people want to do, is compared to other collection solutions, it's very low cost. I mean, usually a collections company starts at 50 cents on the dollar. You know, if somebody owes a $100 balance, best case scenario, the doctor's going to get $50 on that after they turn it over to a collection agency. So Quick Collect starts at just 5%. And that can be really attractive for doctors that are sitting on a $500,000 pile of collections. So it's very cost effective, and on average, Quick Collect usually generates collections in the 40% range. So you send out Quick Collect to go after $100,000 worth of collections. Quick Collect can usually get at least $40,000 recovered out of that $100,000. So it's an amazing service, and it's another one that you'll be able to offer doctors as a solution in the set of services you can provide. Now, we have a couple out in Mississippi. I learned how to spell this one when I was really young, M-I-S-S-I-S-S-I-P-P-I. Jody and Mark Guthrie, and they found these services to be in high demand. They very quickly were able to find 6 doctors' offices that they were able to offer these services to. They were both able to quit their full-time jobs. They work from home now, and they even have 3 remote employees because of all the business that's being generated out of their offices, and their business is still growing. So these solutions that you'll be able to provide as an American Business Systems licensee are in high demand, and when you connect with doctors' offices, you'll start to see how attractive the value is.
But what does this opportunity mean for licensees or for people that are on this webinar, Jason?
Well, I'm sure that we have a lot of wonderful folks on this webinar, and everyone's probably passionate about helping people and helping doctors. But let's face it, we all have to pay our bills, and the most important thing when you're launching a new business is usually, am I going to be able to generate revenue? Can I make an income for myself? Yes, you can. In this business, and you can go to our website, absystems.com. If you look up in the top set of links, there's an income calculator. And these are the numbers that are auto-populated. One doctor, an average number of patients, 20 patients a day. I mean, you could imagine most doctors see 20 to 30 patients a day. The doctor's office is open 5 days a week, and the percent that you're going to charge the doctor for your billing service is 6%. Average claim amount is $100. To give you an idea of what these numbers mean, average number of patients could be 30 or 40. Average numbers of days the office is open per week, that's probably pretty standard at 5. But our licensees charge between 6 to 8%. Our licensees regularly get 7 and 8% as the fee that they charge the doctors for our claims filing service. The nationwide average claim amount, depending on the research you look at, is somewhere between $100 and $125 per claim. So these are conservative numbers. We're not trying to say that you're going to go out and make $500,000 from your first doctor's office that you sign up. This is a very conservative picture of what a standard client might look like for you when you start your business with us. Well, what does that mean? Those calculations equals $31,200 each year as income for you. That's $2,600 a month. So let's think about this for a second. Our investment with American Business Systems is $25,000. With one client, you could generate $25,000 to $35,000 a year in revenue. So what we like to say is one client equals a return on investment in 1 year with our business model. And that's something that not many opportunities out there can say. None that I'm aware of in the $25,000 range. So we always like to illustrate that because it's one of the big questions we get in the beginning of the process when we're talking with folks who are looking into our medical billing business opportunity.
Yeah, and if I could jump in there, I do want to state and let people know that these income figures here that we're talking about, these are based on just the IClaim service alone. Okay, so you guys that are on this webinar, we didn't even touch on all of the different services that you have available to you when you become a licensee. We just touched on a few that are the biggest helpers, helping doctors, not have to have heart attacks. But we have 9 different products and services total that you can offer, and you can actually make money on every single one of those. So you will have some clients that will be using 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 of the different 9 services that we have, and you're making revenue streams, different individual revenue streams from those different services. So I just wanted to make sure you guys were aware that that $31,200, that's just for doing the billing alone, the IClaim alone.
That's a good point. And actually, Adam, we haven't mentioned this on the webinar, but we've had many licensees lately have success in marketing and acquiring large physician practices, practices with 5, 10, 20, 30 doctors in their group practice. So this is an exponential increase on, this kind of one doctor scenario that we have here. I mean, there's a tremendous amount of revenue to be generated with a business like this. I want to add here really quickly, in the beginning of this webinar, we mentioned that we're going to be taking live questions and answers, and we always love doing this, and it's a lot of fun. We're going to start that in the next 5 minutes. So if you look at your control panel, you'll see a box that has questions there. It's the same box that you typed in where you were from earlier. As we've gone through this explanation of the changes in healthcare and everything, if you've had questions that have popped up, or if you've been doing your research and you have questions that you'd like answered, we'd love to answer them live right now. So feel free to type them there in the questions box, and here in just a few minutes we're going to start taking those questions. So get them in there and we'll start.
Yeah, that's good. And I had a thought I was going to say, and I lost it.
Can't help you with that. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I forget what it was. We did get a question from. We've got a question here from Nikhil. I guess he typed this in earlier about the IClaim mapping tool. He just asked how does the IClaim mapping tool work? You want to explain that?
Sure. Well, so currently, if you're a physician and you are on the ICD-9 codes, and you have a paper super bill, and you have 30 or 40 or 50 codes that are on that form. In order to convert over to ICD-10, you've got to take those common codes and connect the dots to the appropriate ICD-10 versions of those codes. So what IClaim will do is help you convert the super bill from the ICD-9 code base into a new one with the ICD-10 codes that are listed. This is very helpful because most of the time the doctors are bewildered at how to do this because, as we mentioned before, it's 16,000 codes for ICD-9 and over 70,000 codes for ICD-10. So the software allows the connecting of the dots between those two.
Good question. Oh, I remember my thought now. Let me say what my thought was real quick, and then we can get to the more questions that are coming in. So there's a lot of people on this webinar that are probably thinking, you know what, I am terrified of marketing and any thought of trying to sell anything or anything like that. Don't want to do it. That's fine. There are other people that may be on this webinar that are the opposite. They think, oh, well, I don't mind going out and talking with people and building relationships with people, getting referrals, but I don't want to sit in front of a computer all day long, okay? So you guys have to realize that you can grow this business any direction that you want, and we can help you reach the goals that you want to reach. And what I mean by that is we can help you with the upfront sales and marketing. We can show you how to hire a sales team, how to hire marketing people to go out and do the marketing for you, and there's actually several things that we do for you as well, ABS headquarters that we do, like the demos. We help you put together your pricing, your proposals, your agreements, everything on your behalf. So we can help you with that, absolutely. If you want to more just kind of be the person that does the processing at home, we can certainly help you with that. And the same goes for the other way around. I do talk to people occasionally that are like, you know what, sales and marketing, love it, no problem, don't want to sit in front of a computer, okay? So we can show you how to hire bring on a friend or a family member to help you with the data processing part if you would like to have a staff that you manage. But also, we can help you outsource your outsourcing if you would like to do that. We have licensees right now that would love to do your processing for you on the back end, and you get a cut of it, and they get a cut of it, and everybody wins. And so you don't have to do any of the data processing if you don't want to. So that's another reason why the licensees that go through our 5-day class, we don't have a big focus on the technical side of things in that live class, that 5 days, because it's just not necessary the way this business is developed. So hopefully that made a little bit of sense to people on this webinar. And I don't know if I'm rambling or not, but let's see. Did you see any other questions? Can you see the questions, Jason, or just me?
Good point. Yeah, we've got a ton of questions coming in. Why don't we jump through the last 3 slides really quickly, talk just very briefly about what's included in the investment, and then we'll jump into questions because we do have some good ones here. So what's included with your investment? The first thing is I usually like to break this into 3 parts. The first part of the investment is, what comes in the box. We ship 2 giant boxes to you. It's got all your marketing materials, over 2,000 pieces, books, CDs, DVDs, presentation folders, everything you need to get up and running. We also help you launch a website, and of course, all of the software is included that will allow you to offer all the different services that we've talked about. And we haven't even scratched the surface, to be honest. There's a total of 8 different services, and I think we only talked about maybe 4. I think we only got to half of them. So there's a lot more, and you can go to absystems.com or get with your American Business Systems rep, and they'd be happy to go into great detail on each one of those. The other part is your lifetime support. Now, whenever you're talking with a company that you might do business with, they're always going to talk about support and say, oh yeah, we have great support, we have free support, but usually what they mean is technical support. Well, of course we support the software. If you have a problem with the software, we jump in and help. That's no problem. But actually what we're talking about when we say lifetime support is, in addition to technical support, it's the business and marketing support to help you find clients in your area, connect with doctors' offices that need these solutions, and then we partner very closely with you as you are engaged with the office, you do the proposal, and as I mentioned before, our software experts will do the software demos, and we close over half of those demos. So that's all included, free of charge, the lifetime that you're running the business. And the last thing, and this is huge, is we have 5 days of live training, and most of you probably know this, but the 5 days of live training, our next one coming up is very close. If you haven't made a decision, I suggest you hang up and call your rep immediately. That's next week, the 17th. And the one after that is September 28th through October 2nd. It's the very last week of September. Now, why live training? Well, what we found, we've done research with our groups of folks coming through the training. We found that those who go through our 5 days of live training are much more successful than those who have elected to not come out to the live training. So we feel it's very important, so important in fact, that we attach 100% money-back guarantee. Now, we're very proud of this, and we're the only company that I'm aware of in any investment range that offers the ability to get your investment back. The way that it works is you make your investment, we ship the business package out to you, and any time during the 5 days of live training, if you decide that you don't think you could get clients, or you're not comfortable with the investment, or you're just disappointed in the training, or you just don't have a good feeling about this business, no questions asked, we give you a full refund of your investment. And I challenge anyone to go out and find a better guarantee than that, or a guarantee at all. If you do, I'd love to hear from you. Call the 866 number and ask for Jason. Now, we ready for questions, Adam?
Yeah, that was good. Thanks for covering all that. So let's see. I got a question here from Tim. He says, if I were to get a client after becoming a licensee, what's the average amount of time it takes to set up a doctor on IClaim? Well, that's a great question. And one of the things actually that we didn't mention, I don't think, is part of the benefit of being a licensee of our company is we actually do the bulk of the training and implementation for the setup of your clients. And so this is awesome, guys, because once you've we've done the demo and you've given them the agreement, they sign the agreement, we tell you exactly what information you need to gather from them to get them set up in the IClaim system, and then we put them on a training and implementation schedule that we provide for you on your behalf. That is huge, okay? So we are looking at, to answer your question, we're looking at roughly 2 to 4 week implementation time for I guess you could call it go live date on the system. So hopefully that answers that question.
Yeah, that's a great question. We have another great question from Tanya. Tanya asks, how strong should a licensee's marketing and sales skills be realistically? Is there support with building a client base? That's a great question, and I would say one of the most common questions that we get when we're interacting with prospective licensees is, I've never done sales, I've never done marketing, I'm scared to do that, I don't feel I have credibility, if I talk to doctors I feel nervous, I don't want to be told no. And for anyone in this business, launching a medical billing business or any company that has customers, there's a sales and marketing aspect. So I would say this is a two-part answer. Number one, it's ideal to have some aspect of sales and marketing background. We've had the example of Stevehigdon that we showed earlier, who was a medical sales rep, and he had incredible success, very rapid, and tons of clients. Well, he already knew doctors on a first-name basis, so it was no problem for him to jump in and lock down a huge client base. If that's not you, and then you don't have that background, we still have some marketing strategies that are a great help for you, and that's part of what our 5 days of live training is about. So if you're hesitant about doing the sales and marketing yourself, don't worry about it. Come out to the 5 days of live training. Most of the time, those who are hesitant on day one of the live training are super excited to go out and do sales and marketing on the 5th day of training. And that's because we teach you how to position yourself as more of a consultant and not at all a sales rep. So you don't need the skills, but it's nice to have those. If you are just opposed to going out and talking to doctors' offices directly, Adam mentioned this earlier, we'd be more than happy to help you connect with local medical sales reps who could go out there and, just as Stevehigdon did, connect you with doctors' offices who need these kinds of services. That's a great way to build your business if you're, even at the end of training, if you're still hesitant about the sales and marketing aspect. So thank you, Tanya. That's a great question.
Yeah, and I don't know if you mentioned this, but I'd highly recommend you guys go and look at our YouTube page. We have hundreds of testimonials of people that went through the training class, and a lot of them will tell you right on the video, they say, yeah, when I first showed up on Monday, I wasn't sure about this, I was scared, I was nervous, I didn't really know if I was going to even ask for my money back or not. And then usually by about Wednesday or Thursday, people are so excited by the opportunity because it's so much more opportunity than what they thought. I had a couple of different questions from different people saying, what is the total initial cost? Sorry, I guess we didn't make that clear. Our investment fee is a one-time fee that you pay up front for the entire business package, which is $24,990. And you do not pay any ongoing royalty fees of any kind, no support renewal fees, no license renewals, nothing else, because we're not a franchise. So William and Charles, hope that answers that, $24,990. Another question here from Balvinder. Is this for U.S.-based doctors only? Yes, it is. It's any doctor that's using the U.S. healthcare system, that they are a potential client for you. So that would not include Canada or Mexico or Europe. So good question there. You see any other ones there, Jason?
Boy, there's a bunch. And we're already 2 minutes past the hour, so we may have to pull the plug on it. I'm getting a lot of good feedback from the questions we've answered so far. Let's see.
Just read them fast. Go.
Yeah, so what percentage charged for all the other services you guys have? That's a question from BJ. BJ, it would be very difficult to answer that quickly with the amount of time we have left. I would recommend you give your American Business System sales reps a call. They'd be happy to go over each one of the services in detail. And also, If you don't already have access to the virtual brochure, your sales rep can turn that on for you, give you the ability to go in, and there is a wealth of information. That goes for anyone who'd like to really dig into the details of the costs, the profitability, and the value position for each one of the services you'll be able to offer. So ABS rep and virtual brochure will get you more information than you probably ever wanted to know on the subject. But thanks for your question, BJ.
Yeah, and we're going to help you in every single scenario. We're going to help you with your pricing. Our support team will go over every detail and make sure that you're pricing yourself properly. So good question. Balvinder is asking for a demo. Yes, we can schedule a demo if you'd like to see how the system and how the codes work. Just give your rep a call and we'll get that set up. How much did you pay for outsourcing your data processing? Edith is saying, how much did you pay? I don't understand the question. Do you understand the question, Jason?
I think that means if you're going to hire
hire someone
help
to do the data processing.
There's a big range for that, Edith. It could be it's very much dependent on the skill level of, I'm assuming you mean, for data processing, your billers that you're going to hire. And that's going to be dependent on their skill and how much workload they can handle. Some of our licensees pay billers based on a per claim amount, so it's like a contract wage. And depending on how large their organization is, how large their billing business is, if they have 50 clients, they may have a biller on salary and pay them a salary to manage 5, 6, 8, 10 accounts at once. So it's a very difficult question to answer specifically, but it's either a per claim fee that they pay to the biller or they pay a salary. The salary can have a wide range depending on experience. I'd say anywhere from $25,000, $30,000 a year up to maybe $40,000 or $50,000 if they're very skilled. So hope that helps, Edith, and that is a good question.
Dev is asking, how hard is it to schedule a demo after hours? Not hard at all. Dev, give us a call. We can do a demo for you after hours. Not a big deal. Some positive words here. Tim says, I subscribe to your YouTube channel. It's great. There is a wealth of information on there. Thank you very much for that, Tim. We appreciate those kind words.
Yeah, thanks, Tim.
Yeah, Carmen says, can we receive questions and answers after the webinar? Yeah, we are recording this whole thing, so we'll get that posted online. You can listen back to the question and answers. And finally, Shonda says, the virtual brochure has all the information anyone needs.
Thank you, Shonda. Adam and I both spent untold hours designing that virtual brochure, so you're warming our hearts.
That's good. That's good to hear that kind of stuff. Well, we're past 4 o'clock. So, Jason, thank you very much for your time. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Again, we're going to post this webinar, a recording of it, online sometime tomorrow, and we'll try to shoot you an email if you want to get a copy of that. Just let us know. And, again, thanks, everybody, for joining us, and have a wonderful evening.
Great.
Bye-bye.